My name is Rawdon, and I'm with the Bergen Specialty Group. I'm here this afternoon to talk to you about a product returns application that we built in partnership with Stadia to handle all of our product returns all in Salesforce. This application used some of our partner integrations as well. For example, we use Cast Iron to move our sales order data back and forth from within Salesforce to our Bond ERP system. We also use EchoSign to handle some of our document management solutions for some of the forms that our customers need to sign before they can send product back to us. We also have some integrations with UPS to handle shipping labels, tracking of those shipments, and some others. And we also have some really cool stuff that we were able to put together in partnership with these guys that I'm really excited to show you about. But before we get there, let me tell you a little more about Bergen. We are a Fortune 24 company with revenues exceeding $72 billion annually. We are one of the world's largest specialty pharmaceutical service providers. Our primary customers, manufacturers, hospitals, health systems, physicians, and patients. We have relationships and customer engagements with all major specialty biotech manufacturers, and the strength of our parent company of Bergen helps extend our reach throughout all of the other groups that we would do business with. So why was this project so important to us, and what was really the impetus behind it? Well, for this reason. We are the largest distributor of blood plasma, nephrology, and flu vaccine. In fact, over 95% of all U.S. hospitals are active customers of ours, and we control greater than 80% of the market share in nephrology. So with all of this high-value product moving back and forth between the manufacturer to us, out to our customers, and then in the unfortunate case of a return to get that product back, you can imagine that very high cost of the product that's tied up in that process. So why was this product tied up, and what were some of the things that we did to resolve that? Well, it was tied up for a couple of things, but one, we had a lot of manual research that went into all of these returns. So our customer would call up and tell us the product they would like to return. A rep would then have to go in and manually key that information into the system, and then go to a bunch of other systems to get the information. So while we currently use Salesforce as our main CRM group to capture our accounts, cases, and contacts, they still needed to go into Bond, which is our ERP system, to get product pricing, product details, pull all of those sales orders. They would then have to use their own tribal knowledge, or maybe even a cheat sheet that they would stick on their desk, to figure out the pricing that they would need to give to the customer if we were to charge them fees. Then they would have to know if some of those customers should not have any fees at all, or if some of the customers would need additional fees for that return. Again, a very complex process that was a very long and time-intensive effort. So what did we do for them? Well, we took a look at this with a pretty ingenious approach, and we developed a shopping cart of sorts. So not a shopping cart that you would use to place sales orders, but rather to select those products and then move those products from the system where they had previously ordered, get those into the shopping cart, and then move those through our RMA process. So we did that by using the partner integrations that I talked about before, and then with the Stadia's help, we were actually able to move all of those complex business rules and tribal knowledge that used to be in the rep's head directly into Salesforce. And we did it so that the self-administrators of all the divisions can maintain those complex business rules without all of the additional coding that comes along with the traditional, very heavy software-coded development effort. So our results. First, we had consistent and standardization returns for all of the customers for one of the groups that we deployed this for. And after a $270,000 investment, we got our return back in about 8 months. Truly paid for itself for us. The pharmacy here, Dreamforce Pharmacy, would like to return a product. What we're going to do, we added a custom button here on our accounts object so that the rep could simply hit it to select the return type that they would like to begin. In this case, Dreamforce Pharmacy just ordered too much product and they want to make a return. But we also built in where they could handle if they were shorted product from their order. Let's say they received too much, or even if they ordered one product but received another one. So we built in a system to handle all of those types of returns. For this demo, let me just run you through that straight return. The rep is then prompted via Visualforce pages in this navigational wizard for that next logical step. So here we need to select the contact who's calling in from Dreamforce Pharmacy. I'll select me. And next, Here's the shopping cart-like experience that we built for the reps to use to find the product that they would like to return. Many available search options here. Let's say it was my most recent sales order, and I would come down here, and not only am I presented for the product that I searched for, but I can see all products that the customer ordered on this sales order and invoice. I'll go ahead and select my Caramune and click Next. Now the Caramune is going to be added to this shopping cart, and the rep is going to be prompted to continue. Oh, and look at this. This is an example of some of that intelligent business rule routing we built into the system. Here, the system in real time, while the rep is still on the phone with the customer, the system has prompted the rep and said, hey, a credit already exists for this specific product and invoice combination. Are you sure that you can proceed with this return? So if a customer orders the same product over and over daily for their patients or any other reason, at times if they can't necessarily link it to a specific invoice, we would go ahead and choose a very recent invoice for them. In this case, we don't try to return too much product against an invoice and go into that negative red scenario. So here we would encourage the rep to go in, investigate this credit in the case, make sure they can proceed, and then move on. Here the rep would just type in the reason for the return. Let's just do customer ordered too much product. Any other additional comments that they would like? Here are some of the integration pieces that begin to come into play. Since this is a non-refrigerated product, I could actually go ahead and choose the ground ship packages that we would like to choose for labels to be generated. In this case, I'll just choose one with the weight of 10 pounds. We could also choose refrigerated shipping packages along with a cooler request, which would be next day air shipping, to get that refrigerated product back to our distribution center faster. Here we select the reason code that we would like to have for this return, and I'm just going to choose a customer issue sellable, and then the quantity, I'll just choose a quantity of 10. From here, we have all of the information needed while the rep is still on the phone with the customer to now process and proceed through with this return. Clicking submit now brings up a review screen where I can now tell myself at Dreamforce Pharmacy about my return. So I can see here that I have the Caramune that I would like to return, a total quantity of 10. I have my line total credit price, which is $6,820, but the system has automatically assigned me freight charges and restock fees for this return. It's then itemized those fees and given me a total, and then reduced my product line credit by my total charges for a total return credit of about $6,600. Again, in the past, very manual. The representative would literally need to take out pen and paper or a calculator, type in all of the information, figure out the fee structure. Some customers have greater fees than others, some have none at all, depending upon contractual obligations that we have. So we moved all of that into the system. Once the rep is done and the customer proceeds with the return, they simply click submit and the automated process kicks off. If we need a Product and Drug Marketing Act form signed, the form is automatically created through Conga Composer, then emailed straight out to the customer via EchoSign to sign. Once the customer has acknowledged their PDMA, right back into Salesforce automatically. The rep never touches it at all. Next step would be our credit request. The credit request goes into our ERP system through Bond through a web service call that we do. The credit request processed, come right back in through Cast Iron. Next step is labels. All the information is already here since we've put it in the wizard. All this information goes to UPS through their Ship API. Labels are created. They come back and attach to the case. Those are emailed to the customer. Then we simply await for the customer to ship that product back. But now we have a turnaround time of roughly 2 to 3 hours, whereas before it could have been anywhere from 10 to 14 days to get all of those steps accomplished. So how did we do all of this great automation that you just saw on the front end, but still make it able to be maintained by one of our administrators on the back end? Let me walk you through some of those pieces. We created an app called Returns Administration. And here, you can see under general configuration, we've just put in some fake sandbox data here to show you that from a base standpoint, all of our customers have a freight charge for a first package for ground of $18 and an additional charge of $12 for each label after that, or $35 for refrigerated, $12 for each one after that. That's all calculated at the moment that the rep actually enters that information in on that case record. You can also see the restock fee of a 20% number and then a restock fee max and min. But what if we have a contractual obligation that says you can't charge those fees to this customer, or maybe they actually get additional fee charges? Well, we're able to handle that here. In this instance, oh, sorry, I just moved over too far. In this instance, we have just a Dreamforce competitor, and you can see that we don't want to take away their freight charge, and we don't want to take away their restock fee, but we want to go ahead and charge them an additional $10 to make that return as a competitor. Or, if we have a contractual obligation not to charge fees, we actually have the system to zero out the restock fee or the freight charge. If this were to change in the future, we would simply update the parent account. We use parent accounts for our accounts in Salesforce. Just go in, take away the checkbox, and we're done. They would then be charged that fee or not charged that fee as appropriate. Another example of using this wizard that we walked through was we were seeing a lot of cases where customers would call in and reps would need to get a lot of information for us to go back and try to find out what happened. So if the customer reported a shortage, well, how do we know what type of information to go back to the DC with to give them that shortage? We standardize all of that through a navigation system, which here allows us to say that for a shortage, these are the questions that we would like to answer. And the rep is then prompted to answer those as they navigate through this wizard. But at any time, if we need more questions, we simply come in as an administrator, new question configuration, add the question. New reason codes, same thing. Go in, add a new reason code, and move forward. We did this for many things, such as reason codes, warehouse rules. Warehouse rules were actually pretty ingenious for us. When a customer sends product back, if it's sellable, obviously we want to get that back as quickly as possible, right, to resell that product. But let's say that the product is very close to expiration and it's not returnable to the manufacturer. Well, we want to key that product directly into a non-sellable portion of our warehouse, but we don't want the rep to try to remember that or to go into the system and look up the expiration date of the product, try to calculate how long that is from today. So we actually built in rules that says if the product was invoiced and sold from this specific warehouse, but it expires within X period, in this case 2 weeks, it's keyed to a different warehouse, which would be our non-sellable product warehouse. Again, automation, keep that process moving forward, get the right product to the right people exactly when they need it, but eliminate that need for tribal knowledge. Let's move it all into the system. So with that, just some highlights. I already talked about that real-time order integration. That was huge for us. Again, in the past, reps would have to go in and key this information manually, then go back into Salesforce and provide that update. Now we're doing that for them, and it's near real-time at about a 15-minute interval. We have our integrations with UPS, which allows us to do all of our label tracking, EchoSign for our PDMA forms, and again, this huge shopping cart experience that was just great, that got us a huge return on our investment. So I personally think it's pretty cool. Hope you guys do too. Hope you guys found a lot of great things that you can take back with you and maybe do some implementations in your own Service Cloud. Ron, back to you.
Thanks, Corey. That was a great presentation.